We have a lot of different information to share with you today, and we're very excited to bring you news of Bent River. And Paul's going to kick us off with a little bit of information about the label and how we started.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Cassie, and thanks, Rose, and thank you, Edmonton Public Library, for this opportunity. I started at MacEwan in 2014, and in my travels before MacEwan, I worked on starting with colleagues several record labels, and it's quite a challenging endeavor. It's extremely time-consuming, and arriving at MacEwan, I thought that would be an excellent opportunity to allow students to see the overlap of all of the different areas involved. Not just, I teach in recording, but not just in music, but in design, artist management, social media, all of these things. And I think that it provides an opportunity for a very broad education and experience. And it just so happened that MacEwan had all of these programs there. So very quickly after arriving, I showed up at Rose's office and said, "Hey, we should do this. Let's try this." And we got much encouragement from Alan Gilliland, who had suggested that I go see Rose, and that's how we started. So I'll turn it over to Rose.
Thank you. And you know, one of the things we didn't know was how many other university record labels existed. And so one of the first things that we did was embark on research, because this really was initially very rooted in the whole idea of, you know, what could we do? What should we do? How are others doing it? And so when we delved into the actual research itself, which we did with the assistance of one of the individuals who's with us today, Aaron, who you'll hear from in a bit, we were able to get some research funding from the university to hire some research assistants. And really that's how we began. We began to meet and to talk. Then the faculty itself began to assist us with some funding. And the really important piece here that I wanted to focus on, because my background is in arts and cultural management, and we've always over the years had a lot of students coming into that program interested in the music industry, musicians themselves or people who are interested in simply learning more about how to support that industry. And so, you know, when Paul came around to my office and said we should do this, I was just so excited, because this is exactly the kind of experiential learning that we were hoping that we'd be able to do at some point in some way. And you can't beat having your own label inside the university where students are able to meet, to talk, to discuss, working with other faculty, working with students across disciplines as well. So we were able to engage with the university in a whole new way, I think. We established some new curricular opportunities. So what we call ourselves is a learning lab, because we're all learning all the time. And because of the ever-changing nature of the music industry, there's a lot to learn and a lot to keep up on. And the last thing before I turn it back to Paul is that we're pretty organic. I think probably our moderator today saw evidence of that as we joined the presentation. We're pretty organic and we're a true team. So we try to keep our hierarchy to a real minimum. We're encouraging everyone to have a voice, to contribute, and we do this together. So it's a real joy to do this with Paul and the rest of the group.
Yeah, excellently put, Rose. I just wanted to add a few more things before just about the music industry. As we've all seen recently, there have been so many extremely large changes. You know, I saw last week Sting joined the gang and sold his whole catalog as well. But this ever-changing music industry I think that there's a big responsibility on education to address this. So really Bent River was one way to do that. And with that, as Rose said, it is organic, but the landscape is changing so quickly that I think that this is an excellent way at times frustrating, but an excellent way to really bring the students into this in a unique way. Oh yeah, there's our there's some of our catalog. I wanted to quickly just say that what a huge honor and privilege it's been to work with all the students and all of these professional musicians that now are kind of all across Canada. We have a wide range of music, and it's been a great ride. With the album covers there, one huge event that happened for us was that a guest that's with us here tonight saw some of these album covers up in a display that were done by the design by a design class led by Costanza Patcher. And so that really shaped some of our current goals, really working a lot more with vinyl. And so we are very honored that Dr. Craig Monk was our was a benefactor of the label, and then we got his attention with some of these. I'll pass it back to you, Rose.
Okay, yeah, and you know, Dr. Monk's gift has really inspired us to think beyond what we had been doing as well, and sort of looking at other interdisciplinary activities that we could engage in. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity to work across not just program lines, where we have arts and cultural management and music and design working together, but you know, potentially working with students in School of Business and students in the English department in terms of some of the competitions we have around writing and lyric writing. And so that's also something that it's growing, and every year we're doing more. And the really interesting thing, I was thinking about this as we were getting ready to present today, is that even though the pandemic has, you know, put a dent into activities for sure, and on-campus activities, the labels continued. We have continued to meet virtually. We continue to meet every 2 weeks as a whole team, and then the other in between weeks we have students meeting with our A&R associates, and so we are very active all throughout the year. Finally, I just wanted to also say, in terms of our focus, that we're very much focused on, you know, the nonprofit. We're not in this to make money. We're in this to engage in terrific learning experiences, to be sure that we're promoting these really amazing artists that Paul works with and that we're able to capture in these, you know, CDs and the vinyl recordings. So that's been a huge thing for us to do. And embedding it in curriculum means that we have students start with us and then move on to paid positions. And you're going to hear from some of those people today. So that's a quick overview. Back to you, Paul.
Great. Well, it's an amazing thing that tonight we have two past members that have moved on to other places in the music industry, and they've been so nice as to join us. So the first one of these people is a founding member of Bent River, and she's in Nashville now, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her experience. So that's Erin Yamabe. Thanks for joining us, Erin.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, as Paul and Rose mentioned, I'm one of the founding members of the team, and I started working as a research assistant and then worked my way to be one of the first A&R associates and taking more of that leadership role. I actually started like back when it was all like at the very beginning, like in 2015, working with Rose and Paul to form that research team, looking into university record labels until 2019 when I had to go to grad school. But yeah, we started the label from like basically nothing. We worked from the ground up, like came up with our own branding, set our goals, brainstormed projects from nowhere. And we all shared our grandiose visions for what we wanted it to be. And it was really amazing to see where we were able to take that, remembering those first days. We were so brand new to it all, and we're figuring out as we went along, and we just kept at it and persevering through all the struggles. And yeah, it was such a wonderful thing that we were able to do. And the experiences that the label was able to foster were unlike anything that I have ever had it like experience wise. And I was able to be a part of so many, like the majority of our albums actually that were released on the label from the very start of our involvement as the label. From usually that was the recording in the studio part, and then seeing it all the way till the end, which was its release into society and onto the web and all that stuff. So I got to work really closely with so many of our artists as an artist liaison and assisting them with any of their needs for their releases. And I also got to play a major role in planning for competitions and our release events, the first of which was the Bent River Records label launch, which we had in 2017. And we had 3 artists at that event that all released their albums, which was Mallory Shipman, Kent Sangster's Obsessions Octet, and then we had a band all the way from Montreal, Acid Bunny. And it was so exciting to see all that work that we put into the label just finally come to fruition through this event, and just everything be out in the open and showcased. And I'm going to show you a clip, but before I show you a clip from that event, I just want to share with you one of my favorite memories from my time at Bent River. Right before I left for grad school in 2019, Emily and I, who you'll meet next, we had the opportunity to join Paul and Alan Gilliland, who was recording his Dreaming with the Master Suite, which was released on the label. We had the opportunity to go with them and record their album in Prague with a symphony orchestra, and it was something that we just couldn't accomplish back home at the time in the same like capacity. And it was just such a wonderful experience, and like it didn't hurt that it was in a beautiful European country or anything. But it was just such a wonderful bookend to my time at Bent River, and I'm always excited to come back and do everything that I can with the label because it's meant so much to me. And I have loved every single moment of my time with Bent River. I've learned so much from leadership and teamwork to how to work and plan effectively, especially as it pertains to the music industry. And I carry all those skills and the knowledge that I learned with me every day, and I use it all the time. And not only that, I built all these wonderful lasting relationships and friendships and gained so much experience from everyone involved. And I'm so proud of what we've created, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to build something that has become such an important part of MacEwan's music culture, and it's just such a wonderful thing. But anyway, I'm just going to show you this clip of our release party, and then I'm going to turn it over to the next person.
We have 3 very different groups. We have first Mallory Shipman, who incorporates a modern jazz, odd meters, and singer-songwriter, and some electronic kind of sounds as well as acoustic sounds, and her own music. The group that's playing in the second spot of the night is Kent Sangster's Obsessions Octet, which really fuses a lot of kind of modern classical Argentinian influences with jazz. The third band, called Acid Bunny, they play a very modern experimental jazz, and this album incorporates more of an electronic kind of palette. And I had the pleasure of producing all 3 of these records that we're launching.
But yeah, that was our launch party, and I'm just going to turn it over to Emily Greiba next, who was with us for a while too.
Thanks, Erin. So I graduated to MacEwan in 2019, I graduated with a Bachelor of Music and minored in music career management. Going to MacEwan, it was always the goal to work in the music industry after. So I ended up taking a lot of those arts and cultural management classes that Rose was talking about, where I actually met Rose, and Rose was the one who introduced me to the label. So I was like, that's so cool. I wanted to absolutely do that. And so I ended up interning for the label for school credit, which was amazing. And after that, I came on as an A&R associate. And there I got to liaise with artists and write grants and one-sheets and submitted for awards and planned events and pop-ups, and kind of learned what it meant to be able to produce these things. I was taking probably half music classes and half arts and cultural management classes at the time. And when I was working with the label, Rose and Paul allowed those opportunities to be able to find spots of opportunity to grow within the label as well. So while I was taking these arts and cultural management classes, I was kind of relating everything that I was learning to the label. So for example, in one class we would be learning how to do a press release. And so then I'd be like, oh, I wonder what kind of press release we can do for Bent River. And then I was using that knowledge and kind of making that, as Rose was saying, an experiential learning opportunity. I really witnessed firsthand how labels kind of were run, and how, again, like how events were produced, and tried to be proactive in seeing opportunities of growth within the label. Of course, on top of that, everyone that I met through working with the label was always just so incredible, and offered advice and continue to offer advice and have those conversations about my career and where I wanted to go next. And even so, just wonderful people who have now become friends, which is so great. Yeah, and then after I left the label, I moved on towards a career in management, and I now work in music management, and I'm based in Vancouver, and I work for Watchdog Management. So it really just was so pivotal in my entire career growth. And this next clip is going to be from the 2018 Spotlight. Yeah, and I do just want to say thanks again for the Edmonton Public Library, as well as the Bent River team, for having us here today. I didn't write down to plan to talk about my moments at Bent River, but there were just so many wonderful moments with the label that I spent. Even, of course, Prague was an amazing time, but even having those conversations with artists and the community, and just kind of cultivating this learning hybrid working culture in the industry, it just was such an amazing time. And I really I thank Rose and Paul for that, for giving me that opportunity. And yeah, so here's the Spotlight from 2018.
I have tried in my way to be free. Like a worm,
Yeah, so that was Mallory Chipman at the beginning there, and then Josh Reger at the end of that clip there. So now I would love to introduce Alexa.
Thank you. Awesome. I mean, it's been such an amazing experience just getting the briefest of moments to meet Emily and Aaron and hearing their stories and experiences and how much they reflect my own experiences and hopefully my own experiences to come. I'm not done yet. I'm still working at the label. So as Emily said, my name is Alexa. I was fortunate enough to intern at Bent River from September to December 2021 for school credit. I'm not sure what I was expecting coming into the practicum. I quickly learned that it was going to be a very, very unique experience. Saying yes to opportunities led me on so many interesting adventures throughout the semester. Everything from day one was always a team effort. I was completely blown away by how open and willing the entire team was to exploring new ideas, often implementing suggestions that came from the interns themselves. There was this expectation that you were responsible for taking on projects and seeing them to fruition. And there wasn't a shortage of things to try and work on. Even though I came to the team as a recording and production intern, I ended up working on a jury panel for songwriting, filming live studio sessions, and so many other interesting day-to-day projects. It was very exciting to be encouraged to do new things so often. One of the more exciting and nerve-wracking experiences I mentioned earlier was filming the Up and Over trio during one of their recording sessions for their upcoming album. I was relatively new to editing and filming. Even though I technically did graduate from film school, I was usually on the other side of the camera. So it was a big first for me. I actually filmed the whole process on 3 iPhones. I filmed one of the trio songs, and from that experience, I was able to learn so much about filming both inside and out of the studio. Rose and Paul have asked me since then to film something else, so I guess that means I did a good job. Since then, I've actually acquired a new camera and a steady camera, so next time they ask me to film something, it'll be even better. I thought I would take a quick minute to give you a small sneak peek into that process and show you the video that I filmed. We'll go over to there now.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about that experience was all the mistakes that I made became hands-on learning experiences, which is very different from other academic courses. Luckily for me, Bent River has asked me to stay on as an associate for the current semester, where myself and other members of the team have been working on some very exciting projects that we will fill you in a little bit later. For now, I will pass you on to Gladwin Badger.
Thanks, Alexa. Hello, everybody. My name is Gladwin, and I am a fourth-year student, music student with a minor in music career management. So I'm I was pleased to hear that Emily I'm kind of going down the same path she had gone down. So that's kind of exciting for me. So yeah, I came into, I began my internship at Bent River Records in the fall of 2021. And I found that, it was during this time that I didn't really realize what I was getting into or what to expect. It was very new to me, very intimidating. It was just a very unique experience, and but everybody at the team made me feel very welcome. Everybody was very supportive. What I did find out was that all the the experiences, they challenged me, take on projects. We are constantly encouraged to take on new projects and get the most out of our experience. One of the best experiences that I got out of my whole time during the last semester was sitting in on the conversations, learning how the planning process of the competitions that would encourage student engagement. So these competitions, they allowed students a chance to explore their creativity and apply their skills that they developed in a fun, unique way. So we held the two competitions over the semester. One was a lyric writing competition, which was open to all students at the university, regardless of what they were studying. And we finished the term with a composition writing competition, more geared to the students who had a background in composition for a string quartet. So these competitions, along with others that we're currently working on, will culminate in a final product to be produced, recorded, and pressed to vinyl, performed live later in the year. Okay, so at the end of the semester, we held a socially distanced celebration at the Roundhouse to honor Dr. Craig Monk. And a space at the Roundhouse was dedicated to Dr. Monk called the Runout Lounge. So the space was called Runout to reflect Dr. Monk's love for vinyl. It is described as the ungrooved area between the end of the final song on a record's side and the label. So the space acknowledges Dr. Monk and his generous donation to the label, and these donations give students the rare opportunity to work on vinyl and other unique projects, such as lyric writing competition, which was won by Esther Forsyth and her beautiful lyrics to Preacher's Daughter. So the celebration also featured a wonderful performance from last year's songwriting competition winner, Cynthia Hamar, and her original song titled Where Your Love Lies, which we will play for you now, and Carolina will speak after the video. Thank you very much.
Here we go.
Home is where your love lives, where your love lives, where your love lives.
Run out is the place between the end of the music and the label, and run in is the place between, of course, the edge of the vinyl when the music starts. I hope this will be a great, further anchor for the Bed River operation. And this is just a very small way that I can thank everyone for what it is that we have here, what it is that we continue to build here. Thanks so very much.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Carolina. I'm a design student at MacEwan University, and I started working with Dance River Records last fall in 2021. It was part of my practicum internship, and I just stay for the team, and and now I am an A&R associate at Dance River Records, but also part of the Silver Stream team, which is the student-led portion of the label. But my history with Dance River Records actually starts way before that. It started in fall 2020, when I got the chance to participate in the album design competition, which is a project that I am very proud to present to you now. Here. So the album design competition is a partnership between Bent River Records and the design program at MacEwan University that started in 2017. It happens in the fall term with the assistance and support of Associate Professor Constanza Pacher, who teaches typography at the design program. And during this project, students that are enrolled in the Typography 2 class, they have the chance to design the album for one of the artists represented by Bent River Records. So here is how the process goes. So at the beginning of the term, the students have the chance to interview the artists, to get to know them better, to understand a little bit about their music and their project, the concept behind the album, for example. But it is totally up to each student to define how they're going to tackle this challenge and how they're going to come up with their own design. And over here we have an example of the winning design for Up and Over by the Up and Over trio that we saw before in the presentation. And later on the process, about a month after, these students have to present formally to the artists. They have to pitch their designs, give all they got, and really be professional and show their best concepts. And it is up to the artist to decide which one is going to be the winning design. And over here we have Chandel Rimmer and Tom Van Setters, designed by Simon Deschamps. So some key elements that students have to think about when they're designing their projects are the front and back covers, the center label, which is the side A and side B sticker that goes directly into the vinyl, the insert, that is where we placed the technical information, also the lyrics, if that is the case, and also a little promo card that goes inside the packaging. And some things that they have to consider is that the design has to be visually and conceptually cohesive. The information has to be laid out in a very clear way. It has to be very legible as well. And the artists, they choose based on how they feel about it, right? So they choose the concept that best represents themselves and their music. And over here, I'm showing the 57 concepts for the 2021 album design competition, where students got the chance to design for the Open Over Trio and for Chandel Rimmer and Tom Van Setters. And just by looking at these designs, I would say that it really shows that by having a real experience such as this project, it makes students very engaged into their learning process, which leads to very outstanding and professional results. And for me, particularly, it has been a very interesting process. It has been a full circle experience, participating in this competition back in 2020, and then eventually being part of Dance River Records and helping it expand its horizons and just helping them with their projects. So talking about new horizons, I just wanted to call Alexa again to talk about Silver String.
Thank you, Carolina. So as you said, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Silverstream. So one of the main projects that Carolina, Gladwin, and I have been working on this semester has been launching a completely student-run branch of the label. This project was started well before our time at the label, so it's important to recognize that it was the work from previous student interns that made this all possible. The idea with the student-led branch of the label is that we would be able to offer low-cost opportunities for students to have their projects recorded with professional equipment, as well as offering opportunities for student engineers and interns to get real-life workplace experiences working at the school's label. Although the project was initially called Fresh Cuts, which was also the name for the student project CD released through Bent River, we decided that the first order of business would be working on the label's branding and name. We were able to nearly triple the traffic on the Fresh Cuts Facebook page, as well as starting a naming poll for the new label. The name suggestions, as well as the popular choice, was completely up to the students. It was really exciting getting people from the MacEwan community involved. We were working very closely with several design students who will be responsible for creating our branding and social media logos. In the end, the name Silverstream was chosen, and having chosen the name, the next step was planning our first events, and I will let Gladwin tell you all about that.
So the biggest, I guess it's the most exciting part of this whole process. I'm really actually looking forward to this. So what we're planning on doing at the end of the term is hosting a Battle of the Bands event, which will feature, you know, I don't know, I think we said like six or eight bands. And each of these bands, you know, features MacEwan students, and the winner of the competition will have a chance to have their original work recorded and produced in the studios. We're also planning on having it a live stream. So for anybody who is not able to attend, because it will be at the end of the semester, and we're hoping to get a live stream going to showcase these students. And we got some design capstone students who are helping us with their branding of our label. So we don't want to forget about those people, and also all the rest of the people that are involved with making this really huge, ambitious event come to life. So we look forward to that. And Carolina will tell you about the future, where we're planning on going with these things.
Yeah, so as for the exciting future of Silverstream, I think we have like endless possibilities. One of our goals, like we mentioned a little before, is to service underprivileged artists in the community at zero cost. That is one of our main goals. And also we aim to create more opportunities to include the community in music in the form of fundraisers, events, and also live performances. And to achieve our goals, we are working towards getting some more funding sources through, for example, the MacEwan Student Community Engagement Grant, but also the Edmonton Arts Council grants. And now I think I would like to invite Rose and Paul back to sum up our presentation.
Thank you so much, Carolina. That was amazing. And Alexa and Gladwin, I wanted to clap after every one of you spoke, but of course, no one would hear me because I was muted. And I think that's one of the only things about having a virtual presentation that we're lacking is the show of appreciation. So thank you all for contributing today and just putting so much into this. I think that this really is the sort of culmination, I guess. Like we can see where we were back in 2015, as Aaron was saying, and those early days of brainstorming and trying to think about how could we do this? What would it look like? Putting together our very first business plan, and we've just never looked back. So I think that, you know, part of our title today was talking about connectivity in this age of connectivity. And I think today you've all shown very much about the way that Bent River connects people, connects artists, connects us with the public, connects people outside of even, you know, the current group of people that we're working with and hearing from. So the reach is quite broad, and we've been working with artists from across the country, and we'll continue to do that. And Paul, would you like to say a few words in terms of in closing?
Yeah, well, I think we're probably a little tight on time. I don't know, it would be great if there were some questions, if we could answer them. But before I do, I'm going to quickly just say there are a lot of other people that weren't mentioned. So I just wanted to include the current team, which includes my colleague in the recording area, Poirig Butner-Schneerer, and of course, Christian Buckingham, who's been with us for many years and is still with us, but from Toronto in his master's program there, and Brandon Baker, Ian Small, Chris Larson, Larissa Pitchko, Keegan Hewitt, and some other important people from the past that helped us along the way include Barry Boroditsky, Alan Gilliland, Bill Richards, Costanza Patcher, Jocelyn Wedman, Olivia Street, Mallory Chipman, Diane Westwood, and Denise Roy, which all of whom played a huge role in our development. So thank you very much for joining us tonight.
So I see we have a question from Levon.
My question goes to Gladwin. I was just wondering where we can find more information on the Battle of Bands thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Battle of the Bands, we're still in the very early process. We're still planning it out. So as those details come out, we'll definitely let you know.
Will it just be the Fresh Cuts Facebook page, or?
Yeah, if you keep an eye on the Fresh Cuts Facebook page, there's also going to be a few announcements going out via the student newsletter and a bunch of other sources as well. So yeah, just keep your eye out.
Are there any other questions? We do have lots of time, so if you have questions, feel free to ask. Oh, it looks like Dr. Craig Monk has a question.
Hi, thanks so much. I don't know if Aaron or Emily might be the right person to answer this, but certainly anybody who has an opinion. One of the things that we hear about experiential learning is that there's greater value for experiences off campus other than on. And I mean, I would acknowledge that they're different, but they're not necessarily better. Now that you've had an opportunity to experience something of the music industry away from MacEwan, away from Edmonton, I just wondered if you'd have a view on the value of the on-campus experiential experience in preparing you for what you saw off campus. And I also acknowledge, you likely had the opportunity when you were on campus to make off-campus connections as well.
Yeah, I think we can both, I'll speak to that, but I'll start. I think that I think what I learned at MacEwan was like the fundamental things that I needed to know in order to bring it to be able to bring it to the actual experiences. But Bent River, I think, allowed it, there was like a bridge that it kind of allowed you to take that experience and apply it, so that when you did get to the experiences outside of school or whatever, you had that knowledge base that was actually solidified, instead of it just being like, oh, I remember from class like this thing, but it was like, oh, I did this thing, so I know how to like I've done a couple things here. I work at a studio, and there's a lot of like, it's very different from Canada too, so there's like that kind of thing. But just working at the label, I had the opportunity to like, there's paperwork that I had to do that, like, okay, you file things with SOCAN, and you file things with different registries, and like you have to have an ISRC code, like all these little things that like I could take, and I was like, okay, now I know that there are certain protocols that you have to do, even if it's not exactly the same. It's like I can take that, okay, so here maybe it's BMI instead of SOCAN, but there's still like this list of things that I have to do to get something ready for release, or so it's like, and even in the recording scheme of things, like working with Paul, like I always got to take the knowledge from the classroom and be like, okay, now how do I apply it to something that I'm actually doing with Paul in the actual world of like with artists. And so it was wonderful to have that bridge. But Emily, do you have anything to?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say you kind of nailed it there. For me, like school, I didn't go immediately after high school, so school kind of felt like this strange place where it didn't like my assignments didn't really feel like they mattered in the real world, and it kind of always drove me a little bit nuts, because I am more of a hands-on person and a real world person. So taking like the comfort level of being in school and making it a class and actually applying it to real life and having that little bridge of comfort was really, really great. And I also think it gave me a lot of confidence, which kind of is very important in what I do now. But being able to confidently say that I have done those things and have had those experiences, I guess, is pretty important, because we all know that we can learn things in a classroom, but it's so different when you're actually doing the things.
I think there's an extra little thing too. It also allowed you to fail. Like it allowed you to fail safely, because you know that you had a team there to like help you if you did fail. So it's like you're like I feel like failure is part of learning, and like I embrace the failure, but like I don't want to fail too much, but like I want things to progress forward. But like when we did fail, we got to like, we learned from it, and then the next time was better. And so we got to take that with us,
I have a question. So I see some chatter in the chat going on about the Prague experience, and both Emily and Aaron touched on that. I'm curious if that's like a typical experience, or is that like unusual to be in another country working on a record and recording?
I guess I'll take that. Well, Prague is a really unique experience because they have an orchestra there that's called the Film Orchestra, or no, the Film Harmonic. That's it. And it's I've actually worked there on 3 projects. 2 of them in person and 1 remotely now. So it happens quite a bit, and they're great orchestras. I put in the chat there that Aaron's worked with me on records. Well, we were supposed to do a record in Calgary in January, and Aaron came back for it, but it got postponed due to obvious reasons. But we're doing that in June, and doing records in different cities is very common. Internationally is a little less common, but with Bent River, Aaron's done, I don't know, 3 or 4 records with me in Montreal.
Yep.
I can't remember how many, but
Something like
that
that.
has been to Montreal on several occasions for label and non-label projects as a an audio professional. So
Looks like Levon has another question.
I'm not sure who can specifically answer this, but I'm also not sure who this presentation is mostly aimed towards. But as a student being on this presentation, how can I become involved with Bent River and Silverstream? Like, are there certain steps you need to take to be considered, or?
Do you want me to take this one? So in terms of Silverstream, we're looking for anybody who wants to be involved at any point in the process. One of the reasons why this project is so close to me is the idea that we can help students who can't necessarily, afford to record themselves, and it gives them this opportunity to release music. And anyways, but in terms of involvement, you're a recording major currently, correct? Yeah, so there's opportunities actually in the summer to actually hire student recording majors to actually do the production and engineering of the sessions, because the entire process is student-led. So that means that there's actually paid positions available. So honestly, just keep your ear to the ground, and a lot of stuff is going to start happening. We'll definitely be looking for people to volunteer for all of our upcoming events. And the more you're involved, the better your chances will be of getting a call like that in the summer. And, Paul's always good with telling us who to choose for that as well.
And Alexa, can I add on to that? I guess, would that be a part-time position? Like you can work with this one artist once, or would it be a summer position?
So it would be a part-time position. It would just be for the duration of the session. But as Silverstream grows, theoretically, we'll slowly start to get more and more artists. So the opportunities for those sessions will grow, hopefully, as we continue. So as well, I would definitely suggest, if you're able to take the course. Take AGAD 300, intern at the label. It is an experience that anybody who will listen to me talk about it, I will talk about it and tell them that this is definitely one of the best places to go into the real world from, let's say.
So I have a question related to that. So you had talked about how part of the mandate is to connect with marginalized artists. Just wondering, like, how you go about getting them involved, or how you go about connecting with them if they're outside of the university.
So that is actually what we are currently researching right now. We are trying to figure out how we reach certain communities and the best way to reach just musicians in Alberta in general. We started to somewhat reach out to radio stations and student organizations and other music venues, and anybody who listens to music, hopefully theoretically would listen to the radio or have a smartphone. And so we're going to start looking at doing advertisements and things like that. And we are in the process of trying to develop a selection process, and it's going to be an open application. So anyone, it doesn't matter where you're from or the amount of money you have is open to apply, and there's a chance that they could be selected.
Yeah, not totally, not in any way unrelated to Bed River, but Brandon Baker, one of our members, is being hired on by the music department. Maybe Rose, do you have more information about that, about the kind of summer incubator kind of
Right.
music industry?
For sure. We've got some funders who have provided some funding for us to start this particular initiative. So we're going to be working to provide a kind of incubator period of time in the summer. The call will go out sometime soon. Brandon's the project manager, so he's also working with us as a senior A&R associate, but he's project manager for this project. It will occur for the first time this year. It's had to be delayed and postponed a couple of times because of the pandemic, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to then provide opportunities for those who currently just simply don't have access. There are too many barriers currently in place for them to be able to access the kind of education that we're able to offer to current students at MacEwan. So we're really excited about this, and you will see a lot more coming out about this very soon.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? If not, I was curious for the inspiration behind the name Silverstream, which apparently Levon might be able to even talk to.
I was actually at the time playing a record on my vinyl, and I was sitting there thinking about potential names because I just like to think about names. And the vinyl I have is actually silver, like it's like a shiny silver. So I thought Silver Stream, because with the river, wanted to keep it that way. And then I had just tagged on media at the end. I wasn't really sure what kind of roads they'd be going down, whether like a media company was the right way, but Silver Stream seemed to have stuck. So
thank you.
We should say that it was a competition that our interns last term helped to put together, and then it was decided upon very recently that it was Silverstream. It was the winning entry into that, because there were several others, but that one rose to the top. So thank you, Levon.
It's also great that it incorporates, we were thinking about vinyl and the media and everything, and the new media is streaming. So, that's awesome. Great name on so many levels.
Yeah. If there aren't any more questions, I do just want to remind everyone that we're really counting on having a spotlight this year, April 21st at 7 p.m. In Allard Hall, our Trifo Theater at MacEwan. It's free. We will likely be taking some kind of a reservation system we'll put into place this year. And we've had to cancel the last 2 years, so we're really excited about going ahead with something in person this year.
Awesome. Well, if there isn't any more questions, we can start wrapping up here. So I just would like to thank you very much, Rose and Paul, Aaron, Emily, Alexa, Gladwin, and Carolina for sharing your presentation. It sounds actually like a very interesting initiative, and I had no idea that it existed. So I am very glad I got to moderate this session. And also thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Before we wrap up, I'll just mention that we do have 2 upcoming On the Edge event series coming up. So the first one is on March 9th from 7 to 8:30, and it will look at emerging scholars, Asian experiences of microaggression. And the second one is on March 17th from 7 to 8:30, and it will look at amplifying Indigenous student voices in an educational context. So these are both free to attend, just registration is required. And thank you everyone for being a great audience. It was great questions, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.